Welcome to the BodPod, the podcast where everybody is welcome. I'm your host, Rachel K. Grimm, and each week we welcome old and new friends to talk all things body image, self-love, and confidence. This is the BodPod. Our friends at Vogue are back sponsoring today's episode because it's the season of love, and Vogue knows that your hardworking hands deserve more love too. Their Mani Moments, my favorite is the green tea detox, are perfect for in-between salon appointments, though you can ask for Vogue at your salon for a worry-free spa experience too. Feel confident about what goes on to your skin when you use code BodPod at checkout for 10% off Mani Moments just like mine and site-wide at Vogue.com.
I think it's our job as tastemakers and editors and creators to be vocal. Plus size creators should not be the only people talking about plus size expansions. That should be a priority for everyone.
Hey BodPod, I'm Rachel K. Grimm, the confidence coach behind Ditch the Click and your BodPod host. Every week from my cute Brooklyn apartment, I'm bringing you confidence boosting conversations from some of your favorites in the space. And today I'm chatting with Bella Gerard, fashion editor and content creator. Bella, let's get this party started. I'm so excited that you're here.
Awesome. Thank you for having me.
Of course. I told you a little bit before we got started that I have been following you and watching your trajectory as an editor and as a creator. You're someone that I've looked up to in the space, one being like a fashion girly, loving all things colorful. Also as a woman who's curvy in the fashion space, right? That has been really amazing to watch you in that. But you've shared recently the trajectory of your work and how you've made this career as a fashion editor. You've found your footing too in the content creation space, and you've slowly but surely taken the scary leap of going from full-time fashion editor to self-managed fashion editor, content creator, all of the things. And obviously I want to dive into being a curvy woman in the fashion space. But I think a great place to start to give everyone context of who you are and what your experience is to talk about that scary leap and how that takes a lot of guts. It takes a lot of confidence, but how sometimes those scary leaps can be absolutely the most rewarding thing on our journey. And so I was hoping that's where we could get started.
Awesome. I have so much to say about that. So it's a great place.
Perfect.
I was a fashion editor for 2 years in my role at Stylecaster prior to deciding to go freelance in March of 2022.
Yeah.
And I was so scared. And to be honest, it was something that I had always said that I would try going freelance. But I was genuinely stuck in the belief that people who were freelance wanted full-time jobs. I was like, you want the benefits, you want the security, you want the ability to say that you're tied to a certain publication, for clout. And I really thought that. And now I owe all my freelance friends an apology because I was so wrong. They were so much
This is the official apology.
I can't believe I could have been this happy so long ago. And I'm really grateful for all my work experience. And I love all the titles that I've held and all the people I work with, especially. But being freelance, especially for someone like me who is very type A and likes to have control, creative control, and also just kind of be calling the shots. It's a really I feel like the greatest thing about being freelance is that I just have so many more opportunities, but more than that, there's no busy work. So if you're someone who, doesn't like doing like that thing that your boss just likes you to do that benefits no one but them. Yeah. Everything I do goes into an article I'm writing for whatever publication or a TikTok that I'm filming. Yeah. There's no busy work. There's a lot of work, but knowing that it all goes towards something is like the greatest feeling ever.
Yeah. That must be so rewarding because when you're working for someone else, you're like, okay, I'm in it for me, but also to the benefit of someone else. And sure, the work that you're doing is still benefiting someone else, but it's benefiting someone else in a different way, right? It's benefiting your audience. Yes, it's benefiting the outlet that you're writing for, but it's also giving you such room for growth yourself. And like you said, feels probably less of a waste of time and more celebration of you and where you want to be.
Absolutely. When I first started, maybe 6 or 7 years ago, I was told if you don't have followers on Instagram, no one's going to want you as an editor because, if you're not influencing, who's going to buy based on the things that you're writing? So I felt like that was definitely a focus for me, not to be an influencer or content creator, but just to have enough of a following to establish myself as an editor. Totally. And there are incredible editors with no following, but right when I got out of college, that was the hot thing that they were really pushing. And it's funny because by the time I left, almost the opposite was true. And now if you had kind of your own army of people that were loyal to you, publications started to get intimidated because I don't think they can deal with us not giving 120% to the job. It wasn't enough to give 100% to the job and have a side hustle. A little greedy with your time. So once you realize your value, like it's hard to look back.
Yeah. And I guess that's where the confidence piece is, right? Like having the confidence in yourself to know, like, no, I bring great value to my audience and I bring great value to the work that I do. And so I will always have opportunity. I will always have work. And I think, also someone who in a totally different way works for themselves, like it is terrifying at times to be like, oh God, like, I don't know how this is going to come together, but it always does. And I know that sounds like kind of, like hippie, like, trusting the process and everything. But truly, when you believe in yourself and you have that confidence in you and what you produce, and that like what you're doing is for good, it always comes together. Always.
Absolutely. I feel like the things that I have experienced over the last year of being freelance have so exceeded my expectations.
Yes, we love it.
To the point where, like I said, I'm a little frustrated that I didn't do it sooner, but I know that the path I'm on now, I couldn't have got there without kind of working my way up. My content and the articles I do now are based on my reputation as a good editor.
Yes.
So I don't think I would have been able to take the leap any earlier. People that start freelance, all respect to that, because I think if I wasn't as connected and like known as I am, I don't know how I would be doing it.
Yeah. I love that you're celebrating those who freelance and freelance before, and you're celebrating yourself in this. And I think one of the biggest things that we talk about on this podcast, and I talk about with women who I coach and men who I coach, is the idea of like celebrating yourself and celebrating your wins and celebrating your successes. And though they might not always seem like that great and that big, 2023 is the year that we like celebrate our success in the same level to the work that we put into it. You know what I mean? Like we put so much work into what we do every single day, and we deserve to have that same level of like celebration around our success. And so I love that you're celebrating that win of the move for you, but also for like all of those in your community and like same space.
Absolutely. And that is such a thing about whether you are working for yourself freelance or if you are just starting something on the side and trying to get into TikTok or Instagram. It's not the same as having a catch-up meeting with your boss where you go over KPIs and they say, great job, or you finish out a big case study. It really is up to you to kind of reward yourself and like keep track of success, because nobody at any point is like, oh, you did a great, they'll say you did a great job, but it's not the same as when you're at work, and you're used to a corporate setting, getting that praise. You have to end up giving it to yourself. I always say I'm a really mean boss to myself.
Oh
but
my God.
I try to be a nice boss to myself in terms of that praise.
We recorded an episode with Iva, who is also a confidence coach in the clef space. And she talked a lot about the bully that we all have in our head, and how like she named her bully Big Bertha, which I thought was funny. But she was just talking about the concept of we sometimes like bully or belittle ourselves or not let ourselves have the things that it is we really want, because like you said, it's not like someone else is encouraging it from us. And so that celebration of self is so important, to not let that bully like creep in and be like, no, you should be working, or no, you should be doing XYZ. Like, no, it's okay to take that time and celebrate yourself as you would, anywhere else that you'd be working, or whether it's, anything else in life. It doesn't have to just be work, right? Like the celebration of self is so important.
Yeah. First of all, I love the way you say bully. It's so cute. Oh, yeah. Totally love it. But yeah, it's so true. I mean, for me, I struggle a lot with anxiety, and I struggle a lot with imposter syndrome in a career like this, when people are commenting, I want to live your life, and you lived a dream, and they really don't see the behind the scenes. Yeah. So there's a line there of, how can I be more transparent without complaining? Yeah. Am I a liar because I show my successes? Imposter syndrome for me in this field is such a big plague. And I think it's hard to talk about it authentically without coming off a certain type of way. So I just try to be as real about it as I possibly can.
I love that. Let's dive into imposter syndrome. Yeah. maybe in terms of the space, but also the being a curvy woman in the industry, right? Because you, as you said, you secured this job that you wanted for so long, like a coveted position, I would say, in the industry, right? Like getting that fashion editor title, right? Then you go out on your own fashion editor, content creator, you're killing it in your work, right? And I'm sure along the way of killing it, of finding your footing in the industry, you've really been surrounded by a lot of different like personalities and attitudes in the industry. I think it goes without saying that there is a stigma in the fashion industry of, expectation of bodies and the way things look, right? Like every ad we see projects, whether online or in person or in a magazine, wherever we're seeing it, often projects like an ideal version of who we are as people, as humans. And we're starting to see, such a better representation of all in our ads, in media, on runways. But I'm curious to know and to talk about your personal experience, the personal impact it's had on you, positive and negative for your body image, right? Being a curvier woman in a space that for so long has particularly celebrated one body type. What has that experience been? I'm sure there's been a lot of imposter syndrome that stems from that. And just so many other feelings, positive and negative. So I'd love to talk about that.
Absolutely. I mean, I always say I worked in beauty before I worked in fashion, and in beauty, everyone is a nice, sweet baby angel. And in fashion, everyone is mean. I mean, we're all mean. It's definitely cutthroat. And because of that, people are judgy, and judgment is a really big issue in the industry. You could be the most perfect, beautiful Kendall Jenner body type, and you're still going to be like, oh my God, I cannot measure up, because the stakes can just be so high. I feel very lucky that I came into this industry already a very body confident person. I view my body as like a vessel. Like it's the only way that I woke up this morning and walked over to this desk to record. Like, how could I be mad at it looking a little soft or not fitting in jeans the way I want it to? It really gets me down to hear people talk like that. And of course, there are days where I'm like, wow, wish this looked maybe a little better or the way I thought it was going to be in my head. Especially me, I feel like I gained a little weight. I gained a lot of weight during the pandemic. And that was really the first time I had to kind of reassess my closet. And the first time I ever had to say, wow, shopping is not as fun when not everything fits you. So I found that dealing with my own personal journey of not necessarily building back my confidence, but feeling like I had to outwardly present that confidence more, because people just assume right off the bat that I'm not happy because I'm not a size 4. I'm actually quite thrilled to be a size 10, 12, probably heavy on the 12 right now. I've always been drawn to that body type. Ashley Graham is always at the center of my mood board at the start of every year. And I acknowledge kind of the privilege that my mind works that way already, because I know people that struggle who don't feel that way. I can follow people that make them feel worse about themselves. And there's a lot of gratitude that my brain just happens to be wired to already like this look, like a more of a curvy look over a slender look. But it's definitely not the case for everyone. So I feel lucky, but in fashion, they definitely push that self-love to the limit.
Totally. I love what you said about your body being a vessel that allows you to do so much, right? Because we often look at our bodies as like one thing, right? As like beautiful or not, or good enough or not, right? And we're always in this process of like being better. What even is better, right? And something I think is so important in a body confidence journey is finding like love and acceptance for yourself, like right here, right now. And that can be so difficult. And I always talk about resources that we like cling to find that acceptance, right? Something I talk about a lot is looking in the mirror and outwardly saying, like truly speaking to myself what I love that I see, so that like I hear it, right? And I hear it over and over and over again, so that I like know, yes, this actually is something good about me. I don't need to look in the mirror and just pick myself apart. But apart from just looking in the mirror and finding what's good, thinking about your body as, you're right, a vessel. Like it's not just something to find beautiful that we put clothes on. It's also the thing that allows us to do all the things that we love. It's the thing that allows you to do your work. Like you said, to get up and come to your desk and like do this, to go out and grab a coffee down the street, to film TikToks, or to go on a date, like whatever it is, like your body is a vessel. I absolutely love that you said that. I actually got chills when you said that.
Oh my gosh. It's definitely something I try to reiterate, and I don't like to be phony about it. Obviously, there are days where I'm like, this vessel looks like crap. Like, it's not the way that I thought it was going to be. But at the end of the day, I'm so much more pro body neutrality and body gratitude more than body positivity. And that there's no shame in not loving the way you're looking right that minute or ever.
Absolutely.
There's no shame in that, so long as you're really prioritizing, but this is still me. And therefore I have to be some level of gentle with myself.
Totally. Like you said, body neutrality, obviously, I think it's becoming a bit more of a buzzy word in the space, but buzzy in a good way, in my personal opinion, right? It allows us to think about our bodies as more neutral. On the BodPod, we've coined them the sad bee days, like the days that we maybe don't feel as great about our bodies. Like, it's normal. Like, it's unrealistic to think that we're always going to be positive and always be confident in our bodies or in anything in life, right? And I think that's where that imposter syndrome too can creep in. Like, if you have the expectation of self to always be positive, to always be loving your body, it's just, you're going to lose, right? But if you're a bit more neutral about it, if you are open to having those sad bee days, but having the resources and the tools available for yourself to like pick yourself up, right? And know that like a bad day doesn't mean a bad life, right? Like, it's okay to have a bad day and not project that onto everything. And so having that, being in that space of neutrality really allows you to like understand there are good and bad, and both are okay and normal, you know?
Yeah, and absolutely. Working in fashion and talking to so many brands, I'm definitely put in the position a lot where I'm meant to think that it's my fault that maybe I can't relate to a certain brand or something I'm doing is wrong. And that is the reason a brand isn't a fit for me. I work with a lot of brands that invite me in for gifting, and maybe they go up to a large or an extra large. I've worked with brands that try to send me an extra large, and I check their size chart and it's a 6. And I'm like, first of all, that makes no sense.
Oh my God.
We all know that sizing is a major issue in terms of consistency, but that was a new one for me. And unfortunately, as an editor, I really do my best to promote as many size inclusive brands as I can, but very few brands are genuinely size inclusive. I think Universal Standard may be the only true size inclusive brand. Although I really commend brands that go up to 5X, and I hope they can expand from there in, a healthy and sustainable way.
Totally.
But there are a lot of times where I'm presented with brands that I like the clothing of.
Yeah.
And I have to remind myself that the problem here is not that I can't fit into it. It's that they didn't think about the majority of people. There are a lot of occasions where I have to decline a gift and say, because I'm a size bigger than you offer, or I'll wear that gift and say, keep in mind, I am your biggest size. Nobody bigger than me can wear these clothes. And that's a little crazy. I mean, I'm 5'1". I am a petite person despite being curvier.
Yeah.
And I look good in clothes. Like, I know that I do. And when I see it, I'm like, it's so nuts that this is the biggest person that could be in this brand. I mean, and it happens a lot, and with brands that I would love to promote more, and I can't.
Totally. So much you just said I want to touch on. First of all, I'm also 5'1" and also a size 12. So very similar bodies. That's wild. But also crazy how I think it's so fun to just celebrate like how our bodies can be so similar, but yet so different. Like, what I love on my body, you may or may not love on yours, and vice versa. And like everyone listening and watching too, like the way that every body is like dressed differently, right? And can be dressed differently. And there are different things we can find. But also, as to what you said, I'm sure there are so many things that you wear, and you want to promote things that like make sense for those in your community. And I don't want to speak for you, but I feel like there are probably a lot of women similar who are like me, right? Where I said, oh yeah, oh my God, we're like literally the same size, who are looking to you for those recommendations, or like, oh, Bella's wearing this. I know it looks good on her body, so I'd love to see it on mine, right? And you want to be able to offer them something that actually actually works and actually makes them feel good, because you know what it's like to be offered an extra large, but it's actually a size 6 and it's not going to work for your body. Like, you actually want people to feel good in the clothes. And like you said, it's not our fault. You know, the whole concept is going around of finding clothes that fit your body, not fitting your body into clothes. And I feel like that is what you're saying, right? Like, finding what works for you and working with brands who work for you too.
It's so funny you say that about people kind of wanting to buy off my recommendations, because I do feel like a lot of my followers are a similar size. For girls I know, I can assess right away, and I'm like, listen, like, stick with me. Like I know you, if someone compliments my outfit, I can see that they look like me. I'm like, I got you, basically. But I actually struggle a lot on TikTok with, I guess, looking different on camera or looking heavier on camera or something along those lines, where often people will say, how does this fit on a plus size body? You know, what size are you getting? And I'm like, I'm usually buying a large, maybe an extra large. Skims is a big example of that, where I'm consistently a large in Skims, and I'm a big Skims girl. I really, really love.
I wanted to talk about that a little bit, so I'm glad you brought Skims.
You will, because I really do. I had a little issue with them on a return that went viral on my TikTok, which was bizarre because I really truly love the brand and how it makes me feel. But I run into a lot when people say, how does it fit on a plus size body? And I say, you know, here are some amazing plus creators you can follow. Glamazon Diary, one of my favorites. Curvily, Sarah So Amazing. And they seem to I've had people get mad at me, and they're like, well, you're plus size. And I'm like, I mean, I'm not. If I shop at Eloquii, you bet your ass I'd be the first person to do it, because they're close. But at the end of the day, I don't fit in those sizes, and I get a lot of backlash from people who think that I'm trying to not accept that title. Like, they're like, I think you are. And I'm like, well, I'm here right now with the tape measurer. So there's only so much that I can do. And it can be a real letdown when someone says I'm going to order it because you're plus size and I'm a 16 and we're the same size. And I'm like, it only goes up to a 10 and I fit it perfect. And I know it's not going to fit you. And you shouldn't have to have that experience. But then I'm also in an uncomfortable position, which is why people like me usually are really striving to work with brands that are inclusive, because I hate to recommend something where I'm the biggest size. And House of CB is a big one for me. I'm the biggest size in House of CB, and I look
come on,
amazing in House of CB. And I'm like, why can't we go bigger? Because I want to shout it to the rooftops. And it
and I love that you are thinking about that. And obviously your experience online has told you, like, okay, we don't want to be sharing things that I can't offer, like, more. But we had a conversation with Leslie a few episodes back. She actually works on the BodCon team, and she is a content creator, and she identifies as plus size. And we talked about how, you know, when you're plus size and you're sharing, sometimes you're too plus, or sometimes you're not plus enough. When you're mid-size and you're sharing, you're not plus size, so you don't fit in there, but you're also, you know, the straight size, you're like kind of weaning out of that, so you don't fit there. And then when you're straight size sharing about body confidence, how could you be body confident? Because you've never had a struggle that a plus size person has. There's like this, you're never enough, right? Like, you're always too big or too small, or you don't fit into a box. And I don't know. I honestly, to what I said earlier, the concept of we don't need our bodies to fit into clothes. We just need clothes that fit our bodies and that we feel like really good in. And it sucks to have to be like, okay, well, you're plus size, so I can shop what you're wearing. And you have to be like, actually, no, I'm not plus. And someone could be upset about that, right? Someone could be upset about how you identify when you're trying to just share what looks good on your body and how you feel, and you want other people to feel that goodness for their bodies too.
Definitely. And there's just so much stigma around the whole topic. And I think that has a lot to do with kind of the way the media has decided to claim body positivity and words like mid-size and run them to the ground in ways that like no one was intending them to. And now they're almost like dirty words. People hate to hear them. It feels so prepackaged and inauthentic. But I think two really important things. Firstly, that we want to take away the competition aspect of it. I don't know. I just feel like everyone looks at someone and feels that way. And it's just so not something that can be compared, because unless you're going to eat and work out and live the exact same life minute to minute to someone, it doesn't make any sense to me to compare. But more than that, the stigma around the language with which we address our bodies has to change. I mean, lots of times someone will say, like, you know, you're not fat, you're beautiful, but you can be both. And it's such a crazy thing. I've had a lot of times in my life where I'm like, oh, I'm too big for this. People go, oh, no, you're not. And I'm like, but I am. Why would I lie?
Yeah. I know my body, right?
Yeah.
I know what's going to work for my body
is like a big trigger for me, because I am so happy in mine that when people say, no, I think this will fit you, and I say, I don't think it will.
Yeah.
Or I'll have a lot of my skinnier friends, oh, I picked this up for you and it's enormous. And I'm like, you have no idea. And you know, it shouldn't come from a bad place just because there's some disconnect there.
Totally.
So being comfortable and being able to say, you know, like, I'm too big for that, I'm too small for that. And not shying away from words like fat or like curvy or heavy. What's true is true. So you can either love it and accept it and make sure that you're healthy in the process. That's a big one for me. Even as I've gained weight, I just kind of assess and I say, am I gaining weight in a healthy, normal way? I'm in a loving relationship. I'm taking things slow, working from home, or am I gaining weight rapidly and it's a problem? Of course, from there, you know, you still want to show yourself grace and gratitude, but you want to make sure that you're being healthy. Part of loving your body is taking care of it. And so sometimes that does mean checking yourself. You know, if I haven't eaten healthy in a minute, I'm like, well, I love my body enough to maybe go get a salad, or like maybe put in a couple extra hours at the gym. But that level of grace versus genuine taking care is not always, I love myself and therefore I don't have to change a thing.
Yes. What you said about using words like skinny, fat, big, small. I love that you said they have like kind of a badness around them, and they're words that like we can take back. And to what you said too about your health and your body and doing goodness for your body. You know, often when we're talking in the body confidence space, you're so right. Like it can be a conversation of, okay, well, like health, focusing on the gym or healthy things can be, it's like seen as bad. And why do these things for our bodies have to be good versus bad? Like if it feels good for me, if it's celebratory, going back to the celebration, right? Like of self, if it's celebrating my body, if my body feels best when I decide to eat the salad, when I decide to go on the walk or go to the gym, when I decide to dress it in this, who cares if it's fat, skinny, no, it's my body. This is how it feels its best. This is how I'm celebrating it in its like best like phase too. Does that make sense? I don't know. You just kind of like sparked something in my mind as you were saying that. I'm like, you're so right. We use these words and we put a connotation to them that's just like not it.
Yeah. I mean, there's a big issue with people looking at someone and thinking they know whether or not they're healthy. So as long as keeping track of those things, because it does matter. There's been times where I've had to check myself and say, you know, you're gaining weight a little quicker than you typically do. Is there a reason why? Are you not sleeping? Are you eating differently? Is your schedule changed? And that's not being hard on yourself. That's loving yourself enough to maybe figure it out and see what is the healthiest route from here on out. Mm-hmm. And I think the way that some body positivity has been shoved down our throats to just love yourself, accept yourself, I feel like can lose that piece of the puzzle where taking care of yourself sometimes can mean a little tough love. Yeah. I give tough love to my friends, to my family. So I do give it to myself. But at the end of the day, you are your biggest critic. So you always want to be approaching things from a healthy perspective of what really is best for me at the end of the day.
Right. Going back to that bully. I know you love that word. Going back to that bully, like as long as it's a place of being constructive and good and looking for, you know, goodness for self as opposed to the bullying self, right? Like, I think it's important to note that the way we look doesn't equate to our health, right? Like you can be any size and be healthy at that size, right? As you just said, like you love your body where it's at and you assess, okay, hey, my body feels good right now, right here. Or, hey, my body does typically feel good right now at this phase, but I also recognize maybe I need to move a little bit, or maybe I need to eat something a little different, and that will make my body feel great. But the way that we look doesn't equate to our health. And so often, back to the comments online, right? Like people will automatically assume someone's health based on the way that they look. And that's just a little bit unfair.
It is. And I'm definitely in an industry where the implication is that I should want to change how I look. That's always the undertone of things.
Yes.
If something doesn't fit, it's assumed that that's my fault and not, the brand or the cut or the fabric. And it can be very taxing. Someone like me who walks in genuinely confident, and at the end of the day, I'm just a person. I do get beat down when someone's kind of looking at me and just thinks that my default is hating myself, because that's the energy I bring. And I think people don't like that. And a big conversation I have with a lot of editors is, I'm not plus size. That doesn't stop me from asking brands when they're going to expand.
Yes.
And a lot of editors on the smaller size have an issue with that because it really doesn't concern them. And they're kind of just thinking, person first and not audience first, and, greater good of the world first. I think it's our job as tastemakers and editors and creators to be vocal. Plus size creators should not be the only people talking about plus size expansions. That should be a priority for everyone, because I can't imagine looking someone in the eye and saying, I don't think you should be able to wear this piece of clothing. So it's a lot easier when it's a statistic, but think about actually saying that to someone and it's kind of insane.
Right? It's like you said about when a friend picks something out for you and you're like, wait, no, you just don't get it. Like, it's the same sort of thing. Like, you don't want to be told like, no, or like, this is what works for you versus this is what doesn't. I love, though, Bella, I have to highlight what you said about everyone thinks that you are walking in the room hating yourself. Does that not perfectly go along with the way we look does not equate to our health? Like, immediately everyone thinks if you look a certain way, you're unhappy. Again, I'm going to reference her episode, Iva, the cleft confidence coach. She noted that she's like, everyone thinks that I'm unhappy with myself because of my cleft palate, like because of how I look and because of my face. And she's like, actually, I'm really happy with myself. Like, I think that I'm really pretty and I celebrate that, like everyone just automatically assumes by the way that we look that we can be unhappy, but I love that you said you walk into a space just bringing like confidence and light. And I mean, I know that your content does that. So I can only assume when you walk in, what a great representation you make for the industry, honestly, by being that way.
Thank you. I mean, at this point, it's come to the point where somebody has to do it, and I'm happy to do it. And, it's definitely a conversation I like to keep open with editors of any size. I know that when I go to things and I'm the biggest size, I know multiple editors larger than myself, and I cannot imagine how they're feeling if I can maybe squeeze into the biggest size and they're not going to stand a chance. Yeah. I've been there, and that feeling is sick. It makes you just feel like the worst person in the world because you're at a work event. You're just trying to do your job, and here you are faced with this, internalized fat phobia.
Yes.
Kind of have to make up an excuse. Oh, I'll just take the jewelry from the gifting, or, oh, maybe you can order my size. And it's something we're so normalized, and because the relationships really do matter. Yeah. A lot of times you don't want to stir the pot, but I think I have a reputation for stirring the pot in an appropriate way and saying, wow, I would love to cover this if you could expand. Or it's so crazy that if you look at me right now, I'm your biggest size. I mean, that happens to me more often than not. And I've never had anyone have a good comeback that kind of justifies it.
Yeah.
That makes it sound okay.
I love that you said you like to stir the pot in a good way. Can we go back to that Skims conversation? I know you said you shared a little something that stirred the Skims pot, it went viral, but also in talking about Skims, I'd love to talk about just the fit for you and how you as a curvy woman, like how you said it makes your body feel good, and maybe highlight some other brands that you recognize are great for a curvy body, or even some of those, you said earlier, you love House of CB, you wish that they were like representing plus. Are there other brands that are representing plus that you're like, I absolutely love them, and if you do identify as plus, like this is where to go?
Absolutely. I mean, I have so many recommendations. That's such a big part of my job. Skims really is my favorite brand. I love their shapewear. I love None of the thong stuff. That's going to roll right up if you have wide hips. I think my hips are 5 inches. Actually, I think that's a helpful thing to share on things like this. So my hips are 45 inches. My underbust is 34 and my waist is 31, probably like a 32 now, if I had to really guess. But those are my pretty standard and consistent measurements. So for me, a large and skims always hits. If I want it baggier, maybe I would size up. But for the shapewear, the large is perfect. And I really think they have so many wonderful products.
Yeah.
The soft lounge dress I wear almost every week. I almost wore it today, but it was dirty.
I was going to say about the dress. I'm like, that dress, I feel like went viral for a reason. Like it truly, everybody looks just incredible in it.
But that's actually not to get on too much of a tangent, but I do feel like there was a little, almost like a body dysmorphia effect for some people with that dress who were seeing, really gorgeous, shapely women wear it with their curves and get it. And they were like, oh, wait, it's actually just how your body looks. Like, I think that that piece does a really great job of highlighting the things about your body you'll love.
Yeah.
A lot of people were expecting it to be this magic dress. And at the end of the day, you're going to look how you look.
Also equate to how you feel, right? Like if you feel, I don't know about you, but when I put on my favorite outfit that I know, like I've worn it time and time again, but it makes me feel so good. I also just exude more confidence and just feel better. And it's almost, yes, you can put on the dress and like it highlights your favorite parts of you and looks amazing. But also, isn't it a little bit of a mental thing of like the confidence that you feel putting it on and being like, yes, I'm going to feel good in this,
Absolutely. But I had so many friends say, you look so good in that dress. And then I got it and it didn't look the same on me. And I get wary of things that blow up as being like, oh my God, this is so flattering, because nothing is flattering on everyone.
Yes.
Skims comes close. It might be the one, but I really feel for people who are like, wow, this looks so good on everyone, and I got it and it doesn't look good on me. And that's happened to me a bunch of times. So, with online recommendations, unless someone is giving you their measurements, like I am right now, it is so tough. I've ordered things so sure I was the same size as someone, and it ended up being too small or way too big. And that can be so frustrating. So I think being really transparent about sizing is super important, but at the same time, not to get on too much of a tangent, but it's so ezy for any influencer above a size 6 to get roped into, I make mid-size content, I make plus size content, when it's like, no, I make fashion content. But when brands are trying to, pay you for brand deals, there comes a time where you're like, okay, are you just using me for that one agenda to look inclusive? Because I have great taste and I have great decisions. And I've seen a lot of girls refuse to use language like that in their brand deals because they refuse to be tokenized. And I think that's really important in terms of knowing your worth.
Oh my gosh, that is a whole conversation on its own. The being like the token body, the token girl, the token look, right? Like how often do we see that, like you said, in influencer campaigns and campaigns in general? Talk about on a runway, like Fashion Week's coming up. Like in a past episode, we were talking about how on the runway, yes, there's more representation, but it often can feel like there is the token model, right? Who represents plus or represents a woman of color or whatever it is. Like there is just this like idea of the token person. And if you have them, then you're inclusive of all. But really, we don't just want a token. We just want everyone represented, right?
Absolutely. And I really feel for the token models who have broken through, the Ashley Graham, the Palomas, who are incredible. But unfortunately, it's not enough. The Precious Lees, like they're beautiful, amazing women. And it's so dope that they're going to get cast in so many shows that normally they wouldn't. But at the end of the day, people check those 3 boxes of those 3 women and don't feel any need to expand further. And also almost everything made for those models is custom. And nothing hits as an editor like seeing a curve model in the show and going to their site and realizing they only make up to a size 10. So that's like performative runway stuff is something I'm always on the lookout for Fashion Week. And there's a lot of journalists that write, specifically about this. And it's really important to kind of be educating yourself there, because I've talked to a lot of editors who, maybe don't think so much about their body as someone like myself does. And they don't notice. They're like, oh, that was good. It was inclusive. And I'm like, it really wasn't though. It was just unfortunately.
Are there any editors, you mentioned it, that there are some that really highlight those the like token model versus a brand that is actually being inclusive and having inclusive sizing. For anyone listening, are there any journalists or media outlets that you would recommend looking to, like during Fashion Week, where you can get even like more broad body representation that's coming off the runway?
Yeah, I mean, Gianluca Russo just wrote his incredible book, The Power of Plus.
Yes.
He's so amazing. And he did a really great story about how plus size kind of took a back seat last Fashion Week. I think people were so happy that New York Fashion Week was back in full swing that they thought they could get away with not being as inclusive. They kind of pushed the tokenism aside and said, we're not going to do anything at all. So he does some really wonderful deep dives. Ayana, beautiful plus size woman at Teen Vogue, who just did that killer piece about dressing like Bella Hadid, which Bella shouted her out for. So I think she's going to be a real force in speaking about these topics. And she's already proven herself to be. I really recommend following editors on social and seeing what they look like and seeing what they care about, and kind of the good topics come to you from there. But I will give credit to influencers. As someone who used to be influencer averse and is now a part-time content creator, there are some very educated influencers who maybe won't be able to write a whole story about something like that for a publication, but will have really great, fact-focused content. So I tend to follow a bunch of new people before Fashion Week so I can get a bunch of different fresh takes.
Love it. Those are great recs. And I cut you off, or we got a little bit distracted talking about your other recommendations in terms of brands. You gave a great shout out to Skims, but other brands maybe that I obviously I want to highlight for Plus, but just across the board, just brands that are maybe super inclusive in general that we can look to and find clothes that are elevated and are what we're looking for, but also we feel good in, because our bodies, they work for our bodies, but also they celebrate like across the board.
Yeah, and people are not going to like my second answer because it's another Kardashian brand, but Good American is the only place I buy jeans from. I
honestly same. I have to tell you, I wore an outfit this weekend. It was a matching set. It wasn't denim, but it was a matching set. And I posted it, and I was weary to put that it was Good American, just because, as you said, there's such a stigma around that it's a Kardashian brand, but it fits. Like, I have a big booty and curves and a lot of pants, massively gap at the waist. I do feel like they've done a great job of figuring out the fit that celebrate curves. And that was it. That outfit, talk about putting on something and feeling my most confident. Girl,
that's how I feel a lot of the time when I wear Good American. And I mean, Emma Grede is incredible. Their design team is fantastic. It is so hard, not so much for myself, but for, my plus friends and plus shoppers that I cater to find pieces that are trendy. It is now more accessible than ever to find good plus basics. It's still really difficult, but the trend pieces, oftentimes, plus women and plus shoppers have to turn to fast fashion because no one is making them and no one is catering to that market. And while Good American definitely specializes in great high quality staples and the price reflects that, they have some really, really fun and special trend pieces. So I always stock up. I'm a big fan of And Other Stories. I am their biggest guys, and I would give anything for them to expand because And Other Stories, for those who don't know, is like elevated H&M. They have the same owners. And then I think they also own Coast or COS.
Yeah. However you say Cost.
I think it's Cost, right?
I think so.
Either way, both great brands, both brands I would love to see expand. House of CB, I would give literally anything for like 3 to 5 more sizes in that range.
Yes.
Who else? Those really are the main 3
Those
places.
Are great ones though. They're great. Like, I love what you said about that you can find great basics for plus women, but it's often difficult to find those trend pieces, because isn't that the thing too? Like, just as our bodies aren't trends, right? Bodies change and trends change, and you want to be able to wear what you want in the body that you're in, not feel like you have to shrink down in order to fit a trendy piece. And I love that you gave those recommendations of places where you can find just like a great trendy piece, like feel good about how it fits and works for your body.
Yeah. And I mean, Gen Z, probably more than any other generation, has such a focus on ethical practices, sustainable shopping. And the fact of the matter is there are, plus Gen Zers that want to shop more sustainably and cannot because the
Yes.
options aren't there for them. And
Yes.
while a lot of us love to shame shop, oh, you got that on Amazon. Oh, you got that on Shein. I don't like Shein. That one's
Yeah.
tough for me to support. However, if people are not catering to your size, you only have so many options.
That
So
is so true.
get it
Yes.
where you can. And if you have the money and the resources and the size options to shop more sustainably, I hope you do. But with consumerism nowadays, there is no real way to shop where you're not hurting someone or something. There's
Right.
something wrong with almost every option, and that's kind of just the world we live in. So
Yeah.
not too dark.
No, that's a really great point. You're never going to make everyone happy. So find what works for you, right? With your body, with your clothes. Yes, it might not be a brand that you necessarily want to support. Like you said, Shein, I'm not the biggest fan either, but I totally understand that they have quite a diverse size range, but also price points that works for a lot of people, which often I feel like the plus community gets so the price point is like massively elevated for them too. Or even when you're talking about, if we want to talk about sustainability too, like people who want to dress sustainably, but the price point is like much higher. It creates like a barrier to entry for those
Absolutely.
people.
And my other big tip now that I'm thinking about it is not so much a place I recommend, but get a good tailor. Get a good tailor that you don't mind touching you. They can get all up on you and you're comfortable.
Yes.
I tailor almost every single thing that I own that isn't like
That's
a
great.
sweater. I never expect something to fit me right out the bat because I'm not the sample size. It's highly unlikely that the fit model was a 5'1" curvy girl, and that's totally fine. So
Yeah.
sometimes I've heard people say like, I shouldn't have to pay extra to get it to fit better. But when you do pay extra and it fits perfectly, like that's such a great feeling.
Yeah, talk about that outfit that you feel so good in and you walk out the door feeling so confident. I think that we always talk about tools for your toolbox on this podcast, like what you can do, what you can have ready for you on those sad bee days that like you can feel a little bit better about your body. You can feel a little bit better in the clothes that you're putting on your body. And I think that is an awesome tool for that toolbox. Like, I don't know why I didn't think about that, but like the concept of a tailor really makes it so it fits your body. Like how awesome, honestly, to think like, oh, this is custom to me, to my body. Like what talk about a celebration of self. Like that is it.
Absolutely. And I also think another really good tip is to look at the designer designing your clothes.
Yes.
If they look like you, you're going to get stuff that is good for you. And that doesn't mean that, someone smaller or bigger than you can't create the perfect piece for you. But I found, brands like Andrea Yama, brands like Hanifa are catering to women with curves because they're both beautiful Black designers who understand and celebrate that body culturally more than, we do or more than, my culture does.
Yes.
And I found that when I'm shopping from those brands, the size range and the size chart kind of aligns with my natural figure a little more. I'm always happy. I just placed a hefty Hanifa order. I would do it again. So getting to support smaller brands and seeing them step up and wanting to be more inclusive and knowing that it does take some money out of their pockets in the beginning of like the early days.
Yeah.
It makes it really hard to hear from random fashion brands pitching me and their startup story is just that they're rich and they're going to expand when they have more money, and it becomes really hard to stomach or even entertain.
Yeah. You know what you made me think about too? As a designer, obviously I can't speak as a designer at all, but I do not know what that experience is like. But if you were to start designing and you were thinking about inclusivity from the start, you were thinking about curves, like you said, like those types of designers, what a cult following you would create of buyers and of just a community, really. Like if we know that your clothes fit our body and celebrate all of these different sizes and they're accessible and they're trendy, like of course you would create a bomb business, a bomb brand, because I do feel like when I don't care what size you are, when you find what works for your body, you return to that, right? You constantly go to that. So I don't know, just putting that out there for any brand listening, like, hey, be inclusive. Like we will shop it till the day we die.
I mean, great clothes that fit everyone seems like such an obvious concept, and yet very few brands
Yes.
it's a good one because
Yes.
a lot of brands, thrive on that exclusivity of we want to be the most expensive, we want to be only certain people can wear it, and they genuinely think that exclusivity and elitism is better than actually
Yeah.
just being great clothes everyone can wear. So,
Yeah. I
yeah.
want to shout out one more brand that I thought of when you were chatting about those that you love. Um, I feel like you are so brand informed, so you probably know them. Affirm. I think I'm saying it right.
Yeah, I love Affirm.
Love. I have multiple of their dresses. My favorite black dress. I used to be my biggest insecurity, my biggest body insecurity used to be my back, because for how long we've been made to think that rolls are not beautiful. Why? I don't know. And I would be self-conscious about back rolls. So I was like, no, I can never wear an open back dress. But I started wearing some other items from Affirm. They had this black open back dress. And I thought, well, I love all of their other dresses. And what a great way to push my comfortability and to, push my confidence too, put myself in something that I know this brand works for my body. And let's like celebrate this part of me that I've been afraid to show. Let me tell you, this dress I've worn so many times. Like I thought about getting a second for when I like destroy this dress because I love it. And it's so funny because I would not have thought to wear it before, but because I love the way the brand works for me, I tried it. Now I'm showing off a part of my body I wouldn't. So love it.
Absolutely. I think Affirm, especially their sheer mesh dresses, are really well cut on the bias and super forgiving. I have, I think, 5 dresses from them and maybe like 4 or 5 shirts. I really like Affirm, so I'm glad you brought
So
them up.
good.
I would have been remiss to forget them. And I'm also really into Hill House Home, which is
Oh,
um, like
I'm
the
not
nap
familiar.
dress era. I definitely didn't
Okay.
see myself in that at first, but I wear a medium in most of their stuff. It's super stretchy.
Wow. Okay.
And it's kind of just a style that I didn't know if was for me. And I started to doubt myself because of, other voices in my head. And I kind of
Ooh.
thought, you suck yourself into, okay, I know I look good in this, so I'm going to wear this. So I know I
Yes.
look good in the Skims ribbed dress. I know I look good in the Affirm sheer mesh bodycon dresses. Could I possibly look good in something so flowy that's not defining my waist and picking my boobs up?
Yeah.
And it's been a very like forgiving and pleasant experience to shop with them and be like, okay, maybe I don't look my most snatched in this, but I feel so cute. And
Yeah.
there are so few options for, curvier women, especially with larger chests like myself.
Mhm.
I'm a 34F, I think
Mhm.
now. I go back and forth in like the GF range.
Okay.
Um, to wear things like that and feel pretty and not feel sexualized. And
Yes.
Helen does such a good job of that. Because there are a lot of times when I try to wear something sweet and it looks like the start of a porno and it's just not, it doesn't give the same effect as if you are flatter chested. And I find myself sometimes dealing with envy there. So
Yeah.
things that make me feel girly and sweet and not sexy um, are desirable because I already see myself as sexy. So I don't struggle with finding clothes for that. I almost struggle with finding clothes for the opposite. So that's my mission right now.
I love that you pointed that out. And I think that that brings it very full circle to our conversation, starting out talking about you getting uncomfortable with leaving what was like full time and secure to go out and be an editor on your own and to be a content creator. And though that is a scary jump, it was like so rewarding. And like I said, you brought it full circle with saying, it's so important to find those clothes that like really work for you, those brands that really work for you, that you love, that boost your confidence and make you feel like you are showing as confident as you are in here on the outside, but also being willing to like step out of your comfort zone and try something new. Don't be afraid to put something on. And if it doesn't work, that's okay. Not everything is going to work, but you will find things that work for you like that. Like if you hadn't have given that a chance, you wouldn't know that you love how that works for your body and how it makes you feel. So I love that full circle moment.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, trying things, if you never try, you'll never know. And with fashion, you could try the same thing 9 times, and on the 10th time, you love it. So
Yes.
I don't ever like to get too comfortable. And also, learning new things for your body, things that don't fit the way they used to, you can't get too rigidly stuck in, I need this to look this certain way. Giving yourself
Yes.
space to say, maybe that's not my silhouette anymore. Or maybe it doesn't look as good and I still love it and I still want to wear it.
Totally.
I'm definitely at a point of exploration where I knew exactly what I liked on myself and now I'm not so sure. And I choose to see it as like a fun opportunity to find new things. Obviously I have as many, dressing room breakdowns as the next person.
Yes.
But I choose to see it as a good opportunity to try new things and not kind of lament the things that maybe don't fit the way I thought they were gonna.
What a challenge for 2023 to give yourself the grace to try new things. If it doesn't work, it's okay. I love that you said we all have a fitting room breakdown here and there. And like, that's
just
okay.
That comes with the territory. I don't know anyone who hasn't done that. So
totally. Right. So before I let you go, Bella, I would love to ask you a question that I ask everyone who's on the podcast. What does confidence mean to you?
To me, confidence means gratitude. I really do think if I wasn't so grateful for my body and, for the opportunities that I have as an editor and grateful for myself to putting in hard work, grateful to myself for putting in hard work, I wouldn't have the confidence to wear what I want, to speak up against brands, to, take a plunge and go freelance. If I'm not putting in work, then I have nothing to be grateful for. And then I'm not proud of myself. So when I'm confident, I'm proud of myself. And I'm also grateful kind of for the work that I'm doing. Because like I said, nobody's going to pat you on the back like you can. So whether it's how you look or something you did at work, or even something you're thinking about doing, being kind to yourself and showing gratitude is the first step. Because you'll never be confident if you're not grateful.
I literally have a Post-it note here. I wrote this quote down the other day. It says, gratitude removes any space for comparison. And I've been like reflecting on that lately. And so I love that you said confidence is gratitude, because you're so right. Like when you can find that gratefulness for self, you're less concerned about everything else and able to like focus on you and your growth and your confidence journey.
Yeah. So. And it's not meant to be easy. It's so funny you said that because I just wrote down a quote yesterday and now I have to pull it up and find it. I don't know who said it. I heard it on a TikTok and then I wrote it down immediately, but it was those without a hill to climb may never move at all. So if it was easy, you probably, wouldn't be pushing the boundaries. If there were no issues in my job, I probably wouldn't have gone freelance. So if everything looked amazing, I probably wouldn't push for size inclusivity the way I do. So, I choose to see those obstacles as like ways to prove myself and opportunities to kind of try and learn new things.
Absolutely. Bella, I feel like we could talk about clothes and bodies and Fashion Week and all the things all day. But for now, I know I'm keeping up with you on all that you're creating, all that you're writing, but I'd love for you to shout yourself out where everyone can find you and, get inspired by what you're creating, find new clothes for themselves, whatever it might be. We'd love to hear it from you.
Yeah, definitely. So you guys can follow me on TikTok and Instagram at Bella Gerard. I'm at the Bella Gerard on Twitter because I lost my old password. And you can read some of my work in Bustle, Birdie, Fashionista, and the Zoe Report.
Amazing. Bella, thank you so much for just a very confidence boosting conversation, getting us ready for like our spring wardrobes and our new year wardrobes. Really, I really appreciate it. All the confidence around what we're wearing. And if you're listening or you're watching on YouTube and you love this conversation, be sure to give us a follow on Spotify and Apple Podcasts so you're aware every week when we launch a new episode, as well as subscribe to us on YouTube to see all of the visuals. And if you love this conversation and you want more conversations like this that boost your confidence, join us for the BodCon 2023 happening March 5th online all day. Early bird tickets are still available. We would love to see you there with a community full of confidence boosting conversation. But until next time, we'll see you next week. Bye.
Thanks so much for joining us today on the BodPod. We release new episodes every week, and we're available on all podcast streaming platforms and now YouTube too. Subscribe to our channels to be the first to know. Want to talk all things body confidence, enter amazing giveaways, and hear updates about the BodCon 2023? Find us on Instagram at the BodCon. My name's Rachel K. Grimm, and I'll see you next week.